time it is, right? So, how far I'll go. So how far will you go? I mean, that's really the question, isn't it? How far will you go? You may think there's an answer to that, but there's not. There's just the possibility of that. How far you will go depends on how far you decide to go. It really is that simple. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't things that get in the way. Anybody ever have anything get in the way of somewhere they wanted to go? Right? Thanks, Andrea. Andrea's like, I have. Would you like to talk about it? So things get in the way, but it doesn't mean that we are not still there. It just means something's shown up for us to look at, to deal with. The question is, are you willing to deal with it or not? So the first line is, see the line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me. This is from Moana, the movie. And that line, see the line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me. It's a beautiful picture, and you can see it there. There's a line way out there that we just don't know what it is. Use this for your own life. There is something new that you're about to do, something that you are embarking on, some career you may be going back to, some love that you may be searching for still. It's there. It's in that line. And you know it's calling to you. And the question is, why am I still standing here? There's the line. I'm standing here. Way too often, what we do is, there's the line, we put it out there, we stand here, and our lifetime becomes all the dreams and aspirations we've had about that line. But we never go to it. We never go find out what is that thing that keeps calling us. So this year, our theme is discovery. I discover the unseen in 2019. I get to discover what I don't know. I get to discover things, feel things I haven't felt before. I am a 64-year-old man who has never broken his nose until this week. So I discovered a whole new world of what it feels like to have a broken nose, to go through, and I will tell you the whole story when it comes up in my notes. There is so much to discover, and a broken nose does bring me to some more discoveries. I discovered a lot of stuff from what just happened. But did I discover it because it happened, or did this happen because I have already decided to discover new things? It's a good question. So this month is all about possibilities. And so one of the lyrics is, I've been staring at the edge of the water long as I can remember. Have you been? Have you been staring at the edge of this water, just waiting to go in? I don't know about you. I'm not one of those people that can stand at the edge of the water and like stick my toe in. I just can't do it because it's going to be too frigging cold. No matter what the temperature is, almost doesn't care where I am. Even in St. John last summer, there were moments I was like, do I really want to get wet? It's a little chilly. It wasn't. It was like 90 degrees. I've always been the type of person that if I'm going to get wet, I start way back here and I just run in. Who joins me there? Right? I just run in because by the time the momentum's going and I am running, I'm not really paying attention to how cold the water is anymore. It just is what it is, it does what it does, and I plunge. Not unlike what happened with my nose, which I will get to. So there's the question for you. How long have you been staring at the edge of the water? How long have you been looking at that line? And I guess the biggest question is, what's stopping you from just running and jumping in, plunging in? What stops you? The answer to that question is a myriad of things. And it depends on who I ask. I can ask any single one of you, and you'll give me your reasons why you can't just jump in. The thing is, we have to do a lot more, a hell of a lot more, than just stare at that water. If you've been staring at the edge of that water for a long time, stop staring. We got to stop staring and realize something's out there. It is absolutely calling us. So here's your chance today. What is calling you? What is absolutely calling you to be more, to do more, to express more? But I think the most important part is to be more. Not even the doing. I don't care so much about the doing anymore. I care about the being. Because when I'm willing to be who I really am, the doing comes naturally. But when I'm trying to do in order to be, that gets really, do be. When I try to do instead of be, it gets really difficult. Because I'm so busy trying to accomplish everything that I don't even feel it. I don't even enjoy it. But when I get to be myself and really be who I am, then what is mine to do always shows up. And it always shows up in the perfect way for me to accomplish it. So the title of my talk today is, What's So Hard About It? Now here's what's really funny. This was the title of my talk last week, because I didn't expect not to be here last week. So I had this whole thing. Barbara had the whole picture, and we had the whole title of the talk. And it was ironic that I gave her the title of the talk, and she gave me that beautiful image, and then so let me tell you what happened. So I had a very small procedure planned. It was a simple procedure I've had once before, where they take some fat out of me, good luck for finding it, and put it into my neck. It's from when I had my cancer, they took out 52 lymph nodes, and they just put a little bit of fat in here, and it plumps up my neck, so I liked how it looks. It's a simple little procedure, takes nothing. It was very quick, in, out on a Friday morning, and I was planning on being here Sunday morning. Somewhere around 1 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock on Friday, I'm laying in bed, kind of the general anesthesia is wearing off, and I've taken a little bit of pain medication, and I'm just feeling okay. And then I started feeling really nauseous. Now, I was told, do not get out of bed without calling Kevin to help you. But, being the type A personality I am, he was with the pool man. Fixing the pool. I heard it as it came out. I was like, wait. Kevin was talking to the pool man, and so I thought, I will just go deal with this nausea. The next thing I know, I am in my bathroom on the floor with a huge puddle of blood all around me, where I have cracked open my head, and Kevin is screaming at me. Not at me, but screaming, trying to wake me up. And I woke up, and you can't even see it, and I'll tell you why, because, but anyway, my head was really cracked open. I broke my nose, and firemen came from all over the place into my bathroom. It was not very dignified, and this one fireman put a intravenous in, and I swear to God, he used a pick. I mean, he pulled it out, and I was like, I don't like needles. I go to get blood, and I say, please use the baby butterfly. I can't do it. But I was just like, whatever. And he stuck it in and all this. Here's how I knew I would be fine. When they got me on the gurney, and they're carrying me out of my bathroom, I heard myself say, please be mindful of the walls. My head went, you're good. Wait, you think it gets better. As they're carrying me out the gurney and to our hallway, I take my hand and make sure they do not chip the side of I'm guiding them in the midst of a comatose, I'm bleeding, but I'm watch the wall, don't chip that paint. And then when we got to the hospital, every test under the sun to make sure I didn't have a concussion, that nothing was, no brain bleed, nothing. Everything gets done. And
except the stupid test.
Believe it or not, I invited him not to come today. I did. I said, don't you want to stay home today in bed? They took every test, finding out I was fine. Everything was fine. But I instantly said, because the doctor said, I have to stitch that up. I went, no. I said, I need a plastic surgeon. He says, no, really, it's fine. It's just going to take a few stitches. I was like, I need a plastic surgeon. I said, this is right in my forehead. I said, some of our cameras are high. I said, I need a plastic surgeon. And he was a very sweet doctor, but he was like, let's make sure I'm not going all over the place with this. So here's the deal. So he's saying, no, we don't have a plastic surgeon on duty. It's a Friday night. And I'm thinking, possibilities. First of all, what's so hard about it? I'm thinking about this whole, because I'd just given Barbara the talk title, like that day, like in my stupor. I was like, oh, what's so hard about it? And I'm thinking, nothing is hard, and if you accept what they tell you, you get what they give you. But if you decide what you need, the universe shows up. That's how it works. That's how this teaching works. So I said, I need a plastic surgeon. And he was so sweet. He kind of got it that I was almost going to leave there with my head gashed open, so I found one. And he went, you know what? Let me make some calls. We have some really great plastic surgeons at St. Joseph's. Let me make some calls. He comes back in an hour later, or a little bit later, he goes, I found maybe our best plastic surgeon. He can't be here for 2 hours. I went, I'll wait. So, you would think that's the good part, and it is. But then, 2 hours pass by, I've had all these tests, and all of a sudden, in walks, how many people watch Grey's Anatomy? In walks Dr. McSteamy, the most gorgeous plastic surgeon I've seen since Grey's Anatomy. Remember that plastic surgeon? He rivals him. And he walked in, and he was so cheerful and charming. He just left his wife at dinner with his in-laws. He said, no, it's fine. He was the nicest, sweetest doctor. And he said, here's the deal. He said, I'm so glad you called me. He said, because if I were to stitch this up the way most doctors would stitch this up, you'd have a big scar. He said, but what I'm going to do is open up your wound, and I'm going to go deep down to the bottom of where it hit, and I'm going to start suturing it in layers all the way up so that you will look like maybe you had a scratch, which is basically what it looks like. And he said, it could be painful. I was like, you know what? Beauty, whatever. Now, as he was doing it, first of all, it wasn't painful. He made it really livable. He did it really well. As he's working on me, Kevin took a video of it, but I'm covered. But he took a video. I think he was videoing the doctor. But as he is stitching me up, I'm like thinking to myself, no, I'm not on any drugs at this point. I'm just like trying to get through this day. And I'm laying there, and as he's stitching me up layer by layer, I'm thinking to myself, how often do we just put stitches on the outside? Do we just stitch ourselves up and thus cover up all the things on the inside that need our attention? The possibilities are endless of how many things we have allowed to just go unsutured on the inside. So it's not just the possibilities that are endless in terms of all the great things for us in our lives. The possibilities are endless for how much work there is, and I don't mean work in a bad way, how much exploration there is for us to find on the inside. That's why I asked Yvette to sing this song today. I was like, I want you to sing this song because when I hear this song, it really reminds me of someone who is stuck on the inside and just wants to get out. So as we get towards the end of this month of possibilities, Thich Nhat Hanh said this, we have more possibilities available in each moment than we could ever realize. So if we have more possibilities available in every moment than we could ever realize, why don't we see the possibilities? If they're there, why don't we see them? Because we are still focused on the lack of possibilities. We're still focused on the doctor that said, there's no one here to do this. And we say, all right, We're still focused on the person that says to us, that's a crazy idea. What makes you think you can make that happen at this time in your life? And we say, yeah, right, okay. That's why we don't see these endless possibilities, because there are too many people, too many situations, too much in the world that can show us the lack of possibilities. And where do we put our focus? Are we putting it on the lack, or are we putting it on the truth? You know, for me to come here and stand here with my nose in this thing, Lexi, Tiffany's daughter, when I walked in today, she looked up at me and she was just like, her eyes bugged out of her head. And then she walked up to me and I leaned down. I said, yeah, I broke my nose. And she goes, how much is wrong with your face? Now, I know Tiffany will take her home and tell her in the future, talk about what's good about his face, then move on to what's wrong. And I said, no, you're right, Tiffany. This is all bruised. This is all bruised. I have a scar here right now. I said, there's a lot going on in my face today. And she said, well, what did you do? And I started with the football, and then I went to, no, I didn't do any of that. I just said, I fell on it. She just looked at me, she went, don't do that. But here's the thing, a child, how old is Lexi?
5.
A 5-year-old child, it's that simple. Don't do that. For us, we're like, well, wait, I have to listen to this person. They know what they're doing. I have to listen to this person. They've gone through this before. No, don't do that. There is a spiritual truth, a divine truth within you that knows who you are, knows what you're capable of, and is out there on that line calling you saying, come find me. I'm here, you're here, jump in, the water's great. So where are you putting your attention? Where are you putting your attention? You know, we still operate from the past. How many of us are still putting our attention on the past, what we can and what we cannot accomplish based on the past? I'm one of the people that can look at my past and say, every single thing that I wanted to do, I just did. I moved to New York with almost no training and got what was probably the hardest dance role in Broadway history, without the training necessary, which made the job very difficult. You know, but one of the greatest choreographers of all time, Jerome Robbins, chose me to execute his choreography on Broadway. I think he was very unhappy about his decision at one point, but he still chose me to do it. Why? Because I was an ABT dancer? No. Because I was like the absolute perfect body part for, no, none of it. Why? I know the answer to that. The answer to that is because I, in my heart, had it in my heart to do it. And when someone shows up and says to the universe, this is mine, I don't care how many naysayers there are. I don't care how many reasons there are why it can't happen. The possibilities are endless if you're willing to look at the possibilities and not the lack of them. It's really that simple. And that's what this teaching is all about. And the great thing about this teaching is you have a mind that gives you the ability to choose where you look. You have a mind that gives you the opportunity and the volition to make the decisions that support your life. You know who no longer fits in your life. You know who it is that maybe takes you down. You know what it is that brings you up. You know what it is that supports you, what excites you. You know what you're passionate about. All of that information is there, right there at the center of your mind. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to be afraid of it? Are you going to stand on the shore and look at that line forever? Someone asked me the other day about Broadway, and they were like, so do you think you'll ever, actually it was my son. He said, so Dad, you know, I want to go to New York and I'm going to do a Broadway show. He said, but you're going to go back to Broadway someday. Aren't you going to do a Broadway show someday? He said, I'd love to do a Broadway show with you. And I said, you know what? All of the above. Yes, I'll go back to Broadway someday if a part comes along that I want to do or that I write for myself. Or if I write one with me and my son in it, even better. You know, I said, Will, I said, everything is possible. I said, but the truth is, the only reason I would go back to Broadway is because it was the right part at the right time and I had the passion to do it. Right now, I have the passion to stand here every Sunday that my nose is not in a way that I can't show up. I'm here every Sunday. This is what I have the passion to do. I have the passion to teach classes. I taught Tuesday night this week. I taught the Tuesday night class. Monday night, I was just a little too out of it. But Tuesday, I went in and taught. You know what? I just said, look at the nose. You got 1 minute, and now we're moving on. And we did the class. And it was a great class. And by the time I got home, I forgot I even had a nose on my head. And I didn't have this on my nose then. Because I didn't even tell you, I had to go back into surgery 2 days ago. Because I did break my nose, and I kept pretending it was going to be fine, it was going to be fine. And when I went back for my post-op this week, both the plastic surgeon and my plastic surgeon, I have two now, they both said, you should probably have that straightened. And I was like, I don't really see the curve. And they went, and then they showed it to me and went, and now I see the curve. And he said, yeah, you had like really a beautiful, perfect nose. He said, and I can fix that in like 10 minutes. But so back to the same surgical place. And here's what was interesting. I was apprehensive. I was like, do I really want to go under general again? Really? I promise I'll stay in bed. And I got into the room, and it was the Beverly Hills Surgical Center on Sunset. Gorgeous, gorgeous place to go have your, whatever you're having done. And I'm laying on the bed, and they put you in the Jesus stance, where they tie you down, and it's all glass, and it was this gorgeous day with the sky and the clouds. It was just breathtaking, and the anesthesiologist, great guy, was behind me, and I said, you guys have the most amazing room to work in, and they were playing rock and roll music, and he said, well, just take a look at that. Take a deep breath, and that was it. Next thing I knew, I was waking up. But I thought to myself, I could have been somewhere else. But where was I? In this spectacular view of life. And I made a note in that moment. I was like, you know what? Everything's going to be fine. And I need to step off of this shore more often. I need to dive back in. I have so many things inside of me that I have not finished yet. I have so many songs I haven't written, so many plays I haven't written, so many screenplays and television series that I have not finished. So much inside of me. And it all gets filtered through this teaching. That's why my motto is enlightenment through entertainment. To be able to take this teaching and help the world see how possible it is for us to live. Albert Einstein said, to regard old problems from a new angle requires creative imagination and new possibilities. So every one of you today sitting here with your old problems, with whatever's going on in your life, you cannot look at those old problems from an old state of consciousness and expect anything to change. If you are willing, though, to look at your old problems from a new imagination, from an understanding of who you are that puts you in charge of those issues, not run by them, in charge of them, then you will have the capacity to change whatever you want to change. When I left here 2 weeks ago, I asked you to, one, cast aside all of your compromises, stop compromising in life, get what you want. I asked you to choose from the infinite possibilities out there, choose what you want, really decide what you want out of your life. And then I asked you to refuse to entertain the opposite. Refuse to entertain the opposite. So today, I want to ask you to stop living from your past. Stop living from anything that may be holding you down. Anything or anyone that may be holding you back from being who you are here to be. Ernest Holmes said, never limit your view of life by any past experience. What you want is not hard to achieve. If you use this as a mantra, what's so hard about it? You want to go win an Oscar? What's so hard about it? You want to retire at 50 and live the rest of your life traveling? What's so hard about it? You have the answer to that, what's so hard about it, and you've now got the answer to the spiritual truth. Just reverse it. If you think it's hard because of this, turn it over here to God. Right before I went into surgery on Friday, my doctor, who thinks I'm the Joel Osteen of New Thought, said that to the nurse. He said, he's the Joel Osteen of New Thought. And he said something, and I said, here's what I would say, because they were asking me, one of the girls was asking me a question. I said, here's what I would say, because she's a devout Catholic. I said, you need to stop asking your God. No, wait, what did I tell her? Oh, no, yeah. Stop telling your God how big your problems are. Start telling your problems how big your God is. Now, we've all heard this, I'm sure. It's some part of it. But it's so true. And that's when he said, Joel Osteen. But it's true. You have to stop looking at your life, your past, all of your issues, and telling yourself how big they are. You need to look at those issues and tell them how big you are. Because that's the truth. Every possibility for your life is not only possible, but probable in the mind of someone who knows who they are. Love only. Get rid of anything you need to forgive. And remember who you are. Because when you know who you are, everything is possible. And the real question is, what's so hard about it? Nothing. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.